Hey guys, Joel here, and wanted to talk to you real quick about a slightly more practical subject. We'll try and keep these somewhat balanced between some of the motivation and philosophy, and then some of the practical stuff. So today, wanted to chat with you a little bit about water and kind of my thoughts on water storage, all that kind of stuff. So I hear a lot of people talking about having a big store of water, getting some 500 or a couple of 250 gallon water storage containers and having water in them. And if you live in a place where water is difficult to come by, then having some kind of a cistern or a cistern type of setup, a water catchment on your property in your home can be really important. But if you think that you're going to take a water hose and draw water out of the ground and fill up 500 gallons worth of storage water, and that's going to last you very long, you're probably going to be really mistaken. So here's my recommendation. While I'm not saying don't have water catchment and water storage, those things can be really useful. In my opinion, it's far more useful to have the ability to quickly filter water that you can use. So here's what I like to do. I like to have a couple of the paper water filters, the pump kind of water filters that you use in backpacks and things like that. The paper ones are nice because they're lightweight and they're fairly effective. Also, I like to have a couple of the ceramic ones that I put in a vehicle kind of a kit, right? So that you can, if you're in a vehicle and you see water, you can stop and you can filter your water using that water filter and produce good water. So in both of those situations, you want some kind of a container to put your water in. So obviously for backpacks, something like Nalgene bottles, canteens, something that'll hold 1 or 2 quarts of water, and having the ability to carry up to like 5 quarts of water in a backpack, up to like 5 to 10 gallons of water in a vehicle, right? So I like to get those, there's different colors, but kind of the military version of the 5-gallon water containers. They look a lot like the fuel containers, but they're typically plastic. And they're designed for water. So the Army has tan ones, green, like olive green ones, and you can also find them in blue. I tend toward liking the blue ones because I have a lot of different cans that look similar to that, and I don't want anything getting confused. So my green ones are for diesel, my red ones are for gasoline, and my blue ones are for water. So that's kind of how I keep everything organized. But so you have some water containers, but my water containers are not for storing long-term water. They're for putting the water that I filter in each day or every couple of days as I'm going, right? So remember, when it comes to like washing and cooking and drinking, the average person goes through at least 1 gallon of water a day, and you should probably be going through 2 gallons a day if you're doing a lot of strenuous activity, meaning you should be actually drinking 1 gallon a day, and then there's the other gallon is for washing and cooking and all of that kind of stuff. So my recommendation is plan 2 gallons of water per day per person. 2 gallons per day per person. If you are not planning that, then you are going to be dehydrated, and that can be a really bad thing. So we have our movement water taken care of with the paper ones in a backpack, the ceramic filters in a car, and then I use a Berkey water filter. Highly recommend them. There's a couple other brands and whatever. The big thing is, which filters do you use? Make sure that you get the best, highest quality filters that you can get. Do not chimp out on your filters. So I like the black Berkey water filters. They are extremely effective. They have a huge capacity. I think each filter does something like 6,000 to 10,000 gallons of water per filter. And they filter out almost everything. Now, there are a few things they don't filter out, and you need to be aware of that. If you live in a place where fluoride in your water is a concern to you, the black filters do not filter fluoride, right? So be aware of that. And they do have a fluoride filter, but the fluoride filter puts, guess what, aluminum in the water. So if you want to run a filter system that filters out like city water, so the treated water that has fluoride, you don't want the fluoride, but you also don't want the aluminum, then you need a 2 Berkey system. You have 1 Berkey system that has the filters and then the fluoride filters attached to the bottoms, and you run your water through that filter, and then you take it from that filter and run it into a second Berkey with just the black Berkey water filters, and that will filter out the aluminum. Okay, so make sure you do your research, know your filters, know what they filter and what they do not filter, and make smart decisions. But having good filters, I've known missionary friends who used big Berkeys and the various different Berkey brands or Berkey sizes when they were overseas in like places like the Philippines and things like that. They would literally pour water from mud puddles into the Berkey and get fresh, clean water. Now, if you're doing really dirty water like that, you're gonna need to clean your filters more frequently. They still filter the same amount of water, you just have to clean them. So you kind of take them out and you use like a little green scratchy pad and you clean them and then do a light rinse off on them to get the muck off. And then you can start using them again. Okay, it just kind of clogs up the pores, so you have to do a light little scratch with the green scratchy pads. And they typically come with a green scratchy pad in each box of 2 filters. All right. So having those things, being able to filter your water, and then having a good source of raw water, anything pretty much but raw sewage. So like where we live, we have an artesian well, and I'm in Florida, so we get rain a lot. So I have an artesian well that's like literally 50 yards away. I can walk out with a couple of 5-gallon buckets. I can fill up the buckets at the artesian well, and it's essentially I just have sitting water there all the time, even when it's dry. And I dip in, I bring my 5-gallon buckets, I pour them in my Berkey, voila, I can drink. Right now, I use water catchment for my dogs because I have a lot of dogs. If you have livestock, having some kind of water tanks for your livestock can be a good idea. And you want to base that amount of catchment off of how often you get rain. So how often are you going to get a replenishment of your water supply for your animals, and what's your alternative if for some reason you don't? All right, so that's my thoughts on water, trying to keep these short. If you have other topics you'd like to hear, let me know in the comments.